We are live.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Briggs. Welcome to Fresno State. We're so excited to present to you our first masterclass in the series of Masterclasses with the Stars for this fall 2020. These masterclasses are brought to you by the Fresno State Art Song Festival and the Fresno State Opera Theatre. Our first faculty for the series is Miss Julie Miller. She is a renowned mezzo-soprano who is a Sacramento State graduate, and she has sung all over the country. Her main house where she worked has been Chicago Lyric Opera, where she sang in multiple productions, including La Traviata, The Passenger, and even in Wagner's Ring. She is a renowned vocal pedagogue. She is a performer, not just on the opera stage. She's done concerts and oratorio all around the States. And we're very privileged and lucky to have her work with our students. Welcome, Ms. Miller.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really a privilege to work with all of the students today. I know how exciting it can be to be able to sing for someone, but then also how nerve-wracking it can be when you know that when you're done singing through your piece, you also have to then have someone give positive and also some critical but helpful information in front of a group of people. So I applaud all of you singers for your vulnerability, for your willingness to sing today. And I really look forward to hearing your artistry, hearing what you have to say with the music. So thank you. And audience that's listening, please know how brave these young singers really are. And with that, I'm not sure who's singing first today, but I'm happy to pass the microphone, so to speak, over to whoever's performing first. And if you could state your name and then also the piece that you're singing, the composer, if it's from a larger work, so that those of us who don't have the itinerary or program in front of us can also be able to know what's going on and what you're singing.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Daniela Martinez and I will be performing Nacht und Träume by Franz Schubert. Du sinkest fallen auch die Träume. Will dein Mondlicht durch die Räume, durch der Menschen Stille Brust. Die Branchen sehen mit Lust. Die Branchen sehen mit Lust. Raffen, wenn der Tag erwacht,
Well done, Daniela.
Thank you.
That was really, really lovely. Let me, sorry, I've got to make it so I can see your face again. There we go. Really beautifully sung. I loved how you brought us into your world. You brought us into the meaning of the words, and you set the stage right from the beginning at the introduction, and you carried us all the way through to the very end. It was just beautiful. I also really enjoyed your extended breaths. These are not easy phrases to sing, so very, very well done with that as well. A couple thoughts I had. So because going along with these long phrases, some things that can kind of help even elongate that phrase more, give even more legato, is being aware where your sentence starts and where the sentence ends, because sometimes you get, 4, 5, 6, 7 measures, and there are breaths in between before you get a sentence that has a period. So what I would recommend is always know where your sentence is going. So even though you're sitting there and you're holding this note and you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then you have more eighth notes afterwards, know what the bigger picture is so that you can ground the phrase just a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
So what I'd love is if you can start it again and just sing from Heilige Nacht and go through to the end of the first page, the Stille Brust. And as you're singing, I'm going to breathe again, and I'm not done with my sentence. But even though I had a breath, even within that first little phrase, the energy continued. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Can we try that?
Yeah.
And now that it's the second time through, I know it's always a little bit easier.
Okay. Would you like me to play the entire intro, or do you want me to just start singing?
Go ahead and just start singing.
Okay.
If that's possible, if you have it queued up.
Yes. And you wanted that with accompaniment, right?
Whichever is easiest for you. I don't know what the setup is over there, but if it's with accompaniment, you might have the bass line to kind of help ground and provide some forward movement of the rhythmic line.
Okay, sounds good. Du sinkest Wollen auch die Treue. Wenn dein Mondlicht durch die Räume durch die Menschen still brauchst.
Excellent. Really good. So I don't know how that felt to think of those longer phrases, but you seemed a little bit more in your body, a little more comfortable with where you were going with the phrase, with the length of the phrase. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think it was good. I felt like picturing more phrasing and like connecting each line, even though there's space and long notes to hold. I just pictured that phrasing and that line to keep going, and I was very comfortable with it. I was like
Excellent.
more comfortable with the piece and the meaning and all.
Wonderful. One other question I have for you is, what are you thinking when you get to take a breath? What technically speaking, what part of your body are you trying to release? What is your concept or training of a singer's breath? What do you do for that?
Yeah. So because I know it's like I'm holding out long ones, I'm thinking of like getting grounded and like really taking in a good deep breath to really hold out and connect so it can come out as smooth as it can, the next line that's coming up. And I'm also thinking about what's coming up, like the words and like, yeah, that's what's in my
Excellent.
mind. Yeah.
Even break it down even more for me. Like, where in your body? Like, are you feeling it more here? Are you feeling it more where your hips are? Where do you feel that breath?
Yes. So I want to feel it from my stomach, but I know that sometimes I kind of bring it up here. But yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, that just basically that how I want to and I try my best to do it for my stomach. And sometimes I do, but then sometimes I do feel like it's up here more than down here. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you're totally on the right track. You do want to feel it in the stomach, and I did see you doing this a little bit on the second page. So what I would suggest is let that breath be, rather than just a technical thought of I'm going to breathe low, I want you to actually feel like your breath grounds you into the floor more. So when you go to breathe, you're going to release your navel, your waist, and then kind of the floating ribs. So we get like this inner tube effect, right? I'm sure that that's what you're thinking when you're thinking of the abdominal breath.
Yeah.
But I also want you to think about the fact that when we breathe that way, try that once, breathe in through a straw, show me what you want in that breath. What does that breath feel like to you?
Grounded.
Do you feel how you kind of sink into the floor a little bit?
Yeah.
And you're aware of your back, right? Mm-hmm. So when we start feeling emotions as singers, we often do this. Like, please pay attention to me. I want to tell you something. But what we want to do instead is draw the audience to ourselves. So I want your breath to be, yes, all those technical things and low and the stomach and all the things you described. But I also want to give it an emotional meaning too, so that it's not just a technical thought. Because you are such a performer who's in the moment that I think if we can tie it to your connection to the text, to your connection with the character, we can tie the breath into that, it's going to assimilate into your performance in an easier manner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So if we can take from where you left off.
Okay.
And every time you breathe, so there, in my translation, we're at the they're listening with delight.
Devolution.
Yes, but what I'm wondering is, can you find, we as humans, where do we feel emotions first? Do we feel it here? Do we feel it here? Or do we feel it in our gut?
I think the gut, but at the same time, like I'm between gut and the heart, like the right here.
Fair. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
So for me, we might feel the emotion in the heart, and then we react with a, or a, so it's a gut, it's a breath, right? So I want you to breathe in that, the delight, the let me get my context here. So I want you to feel that quiet joy that's there, but I want you also to feel it in your breath, feel it in your body, and then let it radiate through your voice. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. Pause. I want you to do it again. So you get yum bum 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 bum. 1, 2. Deep below. Whatever it is, however loud it is, it's a deep ocean. It's grounded. You don't have to convince me. Stay with your body and take a breath a little earlier. Just a little bit. On that 8th note before you come in.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Devotions in
Relax your shoulders. So I could see you trying to stay more grounded in your sound, and I really appreciate that. But what you might have noticed is when you're taking those lower breaths, they take up a little bit more time rhythmically, right?
Yeah.
And when you're taking the time to incorporate the breath into the emotional thought, we also need that emotional beat of time for acting purposes for that breath to take place in. So as you're building in your piece and you're building in your phrasing with the sentences, your phrasing with the breath, technically, also remember that we need to build in our inhales into that phrasing as part of what we are presenting, and the planning for the time that we need for each phrase that we're making. And when you do that, you're really able to ground yourself in a different way, and it'll feel seamless. I can hear the seamlessness coming, but I think that extra little bit of the breath not feeling rushed and letting it feel like it's part of the character will give you even more of that legato line.
One
Make
minute
sense?
left. 1 minute
Okay.
left.
Yeah.
Any
Yes, it
questions
does.
for me about any of that?
Well, it's because I'm trying to do that at the same time and to breathe and feel that emotion at the same time. I just want to know like what's the best way to like do it without like thinking too much, just feeling it,
So what I like to do is plan out my piece by phrase and figure out the emotion that character or myself would feel in each of those phrases. So
Okay.
yes, we're thinking in terms of a sentence, but within the sentence we might have awe followed by peace, followed by, I'm looking at the first page, followed by calm. Say we're doing that. So your first breath is going to be that beautiful holy night, right?
Yeah.
And the next breath can be peace. So it's the next emotion you're going to feel peace. What gives you, Daniela, peace? You're going to think, you're going to think what gives you peace in that moment, and you're going to breathe that emotion.
Okay.
And then when you get to the next one, you're going to, on the next inhale, have a plan of, what did I say, calm? Breathe in that calm or that stillness, or that maybe there's a quiet joy that comes with the peace and the calm. Maybe you're going to breathe that in, so that I give myself a specific emotion that I can relate to. And sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 emotions, so that when I perform, it's never the same. I can pick which emotion I want and string together this narrative that is true to myself as a performer, but also true to the text that I am singing about.
Yes.
Does that answer the question a little bit?
Yes, very much. That's very
Excellent.
helpful.
Good. it takes time. It takes time in the practice room, and it's a little tedious at times. But then when you get on stage, there's never a moment when you're like, what am I singing about now? I know I'm singing, I know what words I'm singing, but like, what's the emotion? You're never in that moment. You never get the deer in the headlight look.
Okay.
Okay. Well done, Daniela. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Daniela. Alexandra is next.
Hi, my name is Alexandra Cotta, and I will be singing O Had I Jubal's Lyre from Joshua by George Frederick Handel. Oh, had I Jubal's lyre, me beautiful boys. Oh, had I Jubal's lyre, me beautiful boys. To songs like his I would not sigh. To songs like his I would not sigh. In songs like hers, in songs like hers, in songs like hers, rejoice. In songs like hers, rejoice. Oh, had I Jubal's lyre, make me a string for boys. Oh, had I Jubal's lyre, make me a string for boys. To songs like these I would aspire. In songs like hers, in songs like hers, rejoice. In songs like hers, rejoice. In songs like hers, rejoice. Why harbour streets much fate they show, how much you hate and thee I go. Why harbour streets much fate they show, how much you hate and thee I go. How much you hate and thee I go.
Well done. That is not an easy piece. I know, and all that coloratura was very cleanly sung, really well done. And I felt the joy. I felt the sprightliness. I felt the through line. It was really quite good. I'm very excited for you. Well done, Alexandra. Really well done.
Thank you.
So in singing Handel, which I do sing Handel a fair amount. What's tricky about Handel is finding meaning for a text that repeats itself over and over and over and over again. So tell me, what have you done? What is your thought process in that so far? Like, do you let the changes in music kind of dictate it, or do you have another story playing in your head of what's maybe happening while you're singing these words so they have different meaning along the way? What is your thought process on that?
Well, for this piece and for most pieces, I was honestly kind of confused as to like the exact meaning of it. So I kind of looked up the opera and the storyline, and that put it in context a lot better. So I've been having kind of trouble with this one because I understand like the basic meaning and where it fits into the rest of the text. Like she's happy and she's trying to express how joyful she is that like she finally gets to be with the person she loves because and then I feel and she does that like by alluding to like biblical figures of people who have been known for their music. And I understand what the lines mean on their own. um, I kind of interpreted it more as like if I had the musical talent of these people, I would be able to express the joy that I feel, and I only wish that I could do that. And I know like the meaning overall, but I've had kind of trouble like with each with because there's so much repetition, differentiating it.
So I think that all of the work you've done, all the background work, all of the kind of delving into the emotions of your character and therefore the emotions that you should be feeling while you're performing, it's fantastic. It's really well done. It's very thought out. I applaud you. That was a very, very clear answer on your part. What I would suggest with Handel, because the text repeats itself so much, is when you're performing it in a setting of where it's staged and the director is telling you what to do, then the director can help kind of give you impetus for different lines. But when you're singing it by yourself in a concert, you have to find that impetus from within. So what has helped me in the past and what I've been taught to do and found to work really well is kind of visualizing a set for myself. So like maybe there's a friend over there on your left that you're telling your joy to. Maybe your lover's in front of you. Maybe there's a spot on your right-hand side where something special happened along the way. And you can use slight body adjustments or slight visual cues from your imagination of those three spots to help re-energize yourself with momentum and new ideas as you're going through. So it's not just the joy, but maybe it's a giddy joy because you're telling your best friend about it. Or maybe it's a I'm so in love with you joy because you're singing to the person you love. And maybe there's a spot with the instruments where you've heard it and you've seen the joy of the instruments, and so it's an inspirational type of thing. And you can play with that as you're performing to create a little bit more 3 dimensions for yourself and ways to energize yourself throughout the piece. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that actually helps a lot.
Cool. So then if we were starting this, my recommendation is when you're using this technique, never start facing the corner. It's just not interesting for the audience. So start facing front, make sure it's something interesting there. And then, oh, had I Jubal's lyre, Miriam's tuneful voice. And then she says it again. Oh, had I Jubal's lyre or Miriam's tuneful voice. So this first repetition of the text, you can really respond with this the way you would if you had a through written text that was just continuous, where when you have a repetition, the repetition has a different meaning. And then this, when it comes back again in the new key, that's when you might want to take on a different emotional meaning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thought I had. The other thought I had, so with this coloratura, it's so clean. You've got I can hear every single note. I can tell that you know where you want your phrases to go. What I would say is let yourself, now that you've done all the work to make it so clean, let yourself think a little bit more in the longer phrases so that when you have something like, in songs like hers, in songs like hers, rejoice, that there's a bigger picture of where you're going and not all individual little notes along the way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you know where your important notes are because there are changes in a key or something, but the rest of the notes are all just riding the airflow. Have you heard that before? Is that...
I feel like I have probably at some point heard that.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'd like to start it from the beginning. I want you to think a little bit about the different emotions that you might feel. So maybe the different people you might sing to. But mainly think about your phrasing of your coloratura for this moment. And let's go through till in songs like hers rejoice, that first little ending there.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Do you want all the accompaniment that comes in before me?
Can you skip it? Is that possible?
Yeah, I can skip most of it. I know it's pretty long at the beginning. Let's see.
It's beautiful. I mean,
Oh, had I troubles long, me fears to boys. Oh, had I troubles long, me fears to boys. To songs like his I would not start. To songs like his I would not start. In songs like hers, in songs like hers, rejoice. In songs like hers, rejoice. In songs like hers, rejoice.
great. That was so, for me as an audience member, that is so much fun to listen to because, well, you've done the work to make it sound effortless. I know it's not effortless, but you've done the work to make it all clean. And now I feel like I'm just on this wonderful journey and I'm writing all of your coloratura to the resolutions of the phrases. That was really lovely. You also took on a more genuine emotional connection to the text too. Did you feel that? Because your face looked a lot more connected.
Yeah, I did. I did
Less
feel
nervous.
that. Yeah.
So
One
then,
minute left.
1 minute left. Okay. Do you have any questions for me about anything Handel related or how to approach learning music like this, or any questions that I can address?
How would you, I've always had a really hard time like just showing emotion. That's something I really need to work on. How would you suggest to like get yourself more into character?
Okay. So I'm a very concrete person. Dealing in the abstract is really hard for me. And so I literally have to go through and figure out what are the emotions the character's feeling, and then find specific moments in my life where I feel a similar emotion. And then I go in front of a mirror and I think about those things, I breathe, and I try to show that expression on my face. So if it's like the joy, so if it's extreme joy. One thing I think we all can relate to right now is extreme joy might be able to walk into a room and give our best friend a hug, right? So if I was in that moment, I put myself in front of a mirror and I go, what would I do? And it would be this. And then I would probably run and give them a hug. And so I look at what that looks like. I feel what that feels like. And then I go, can I sing with that? Or is that going to mess up my position? So I take the real look and then I transplant it into the moment in the piece. And then I let my emotions show in the face, but still be able to sing. So I'm not tightening up or doing anything weird. Does that help a little bit? It has to become a personal
Yes, that does help a lot.
Okay, and like I was telling Daniela, it takes some time. It takes a little bit of extra prep. But then when, I don't know if I'm sure you've sat in a performance where it seems like that person is just like, they just carry you through to the end of the piece. It doesn't even feel like a performance. It feels like they're speaking directly to you or singing directly to you. And it's because it's so genuine. It's so, it's not a mask that they're putting on. They're really showing themselves, but through the means of the character. And that's really the work that's done, is how do I translate what I'm feeling in a way that's genuine into this character that I have to portray.
That helps a lot. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for singing. Really beautiful job. I mean, I'm enjoying myself immensely with these two singers that I've heard so far. So well done, ladies, and I look forward to hearing more singers, the other three. So well done, Alexandra.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to hear from Miranda now. Miranda.
Hi, my name is Miranda Barton, and I'm going to be singing Avukela by Tosti. Si conoscerlo, tu tienes avukela, nu poco rello, basugliatella. Damilo pigliatilo, nu vaso becciarello, nu vaso becciarello, ama questa buchella, che pare una rusella. Poco rino pasugliatella. Sì, tu tieni una buchella, sì poco rino a pasugliatella. Thank you.
Well done. Say your name. Is it Miranda or Miranda?
Miranda.
Miranda. Thank you. I didn't want to. Sorry, Italian. Too much Italian. So didn't want to mispronounce it. Very lovely singing. I loved your the way you connected with the text. I loved your double consonants. I loved your use of the language. That was really fantastic. This little piece, I didn't know this piece prior to you wanting to sing it on the masterclass, and so I took a listen to it. It's super fun. It's a lot of stylistic things. So what I want to give you, I think today, is that in these little decrescendos and crescendos that are in there, and the resolutions, I don't want you to lose the connection to the little notes. So they don't have to be punched, but I want to make sure that they have enough connection in your body that they'll go all the way to the back of the room. So sometimes we get to sing art song in a small room with a couple people, maybe 100 people, and it's really an intimate setting. But then there are other times when we're on a much larger stage, and so we still have to get the voice to get to the back of the room. So when you're singing, from looking at from the beginning, that so your first kind of reference point you're going to is, if you're counting from where you come in, 1, 2, 3, 4, like the fifth measure of your singing, the Shorillo is where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So when you're singing that, the notes that lead up to it need a little bit of a crescendo to help you land that spot. And so that there's a little bit more momentum taking you there. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
then
it does.
As you go on, The little notes are kind of what hook the longer phrases together, at least to me. And you are more than welcome when you leave this room to go, oh, I don't agree with her at all, and I won't be offended. But what I would love to hear is if you can start it again for me, and if you want to skip the intro, you can, or you can play that whole introduction. I want to feel that there's, even though there are points where I'm connected or that I'm landing, there's all this connective material in the airflow and in the and all the kind of more unimportant notes that is taking me to those next important sections. Okay?
Okay, great. Yeah.
And a little suggestion for singing in the car, because we've all done it, warming up for auditions in the car because there's no warm-up space. Try to, as much as you can, get it so that you're, and it looks like you're doing pretty well with this, but make it so that you can feel your sit bones on your seat.
Yeah.
So that you can breathe into those sit bones, because otherwise it's like we're either too far back or we're so far forward that we're end up sway backed. So if you find those sit bones and you balance your shoulders on top of your sit bones, you'll feel it's much easier to breathe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think, leg wise, for me, I normally, because I'm 6'1", so I have a lot of long leg to get out of the way, but I tend to kind of slide them to the side one way or the other, so that my knees aren't up in my stomach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've been sitting on, I have a bunch of things to stack, and I will keep that in mind with my legs and trying to, yeah. Okay. All right.
Perfect. Because guess what, guys? Most places don't provide you with a warm-up space. Most of the time you're finding a car or some sort of random space to warm up in. So it's good practice. Why don't we start from the beginning, either from the very beginning or maybe where it goes, like where the chords start or something like that.
Okay. I'm not sure the exact time when that starts, so I'm going to start a few seconds in and we'll listen from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Si como no llorilo, tu tienes no poco corriendo, papá suliatella.
Let's pause right there. So I'm feeling more connection in your phrases now. Really good. Now, what we want to do is still give those lovely arrival points you were giving before. So if that means right now that you just need to make the arrival points a little bigger in contrast to the legato, then that would be my suggestion. If you're able to, as you're working, bring the connective material to a slightly softer dynamic, then you'll be able to bump everything back down again. But you bumped up the connective material, so I need a little bit more I need a little bit more of the lean into those arrival points within that more connected line. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
I also have a question for you. We're not very high in the range. but I'm noticing that your E vowel is a little tight in the jaw.
Yeah.
Is that something that maybe you're working on right now?
That's something I'm
Like it
working on,
kinda-
yeah. I think right now,
Okay.
especially, my headphones are doing something weird with my jaw. But
Can
yeah,
you
that is
pop one
something that
headphone
I'm trying to
off?
work on in general.
Okay. So what has been your approach in working on that E vowel? It's because your vowels are in alignment from what I can hear over the internet waves, over the sound waves. But what I'm wondering if that E, if you were to sing it louder, if it would start to kind of feel tight, or if you're trying to sing it higher, if it would feel tight. So what have you been working on with that E vowel?
I've been working on, in general, just trying to drop my jaw for just most things. I mean,
Okay.
especially with the eval,
Yeah.
but trying to relax a little bit and keep a good amount of space while getting a clear, clean vowel.
Okay. So when you're doing E, I'll give you something that's helped me with my E. So E is created by the tongue arching in the mouth, right? So for me, if I start and just kind of do an ah, neutral ah, and I practice just doing ah, ya, 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 ya. So I'm working on the independence of the tongue and the jaw. So I'm not forcing my jaw to be more open. I'm not even working on singing with that E right now. I'm just working on, hey, can my tongue be flexible in my mouth and my jaw stay uninvolved? Can you try that for me? So my tongue is going to kind of, the tip of the tongue is going to stay behind the front bottom teeth where it normally would be. And the middle of the tongue is going to lift kind of up towards, not the very front molar, but like maybe the second one back. So it's not all, but ah. So the tongue's coming up and forward. Can you try that for me?
Okay.
So you started really well. You went So let's leave that chin out. Let's leave him alone. Now, do you feel how the E wants to go back there?
Yeah.
So let's do it with breath support. And when you move that tongue, it's not backwards. It's actually coming up and forward. Wish I could split my face in half. I think Can you see how it's going up and forward? Sorry.
Yeah, I do.
Internet folks. Up close and personal with my mouth. Can you try that for me?
Yeah.
Good. And listen, when you're going to that E, really listen for that true E sound. And feel where it's vibrating in your mouth.
Okay.
One more time.
Do you want me to do it again?
Yes, please. Exactly. And you feel how neutral that jaw is and how much work the tongue's doing. So now if you were to just, let me pull my music back up. If you were to do C for me, thinking of that ah, E, and I'm going to have you sing saw and then E. Saw,
okay. Saw.
Okay, was that the same E you felt when you were doing the ah-e's with your tongue?
Not quite.
It kind of went back there, right?
Yeah.
So let your tongue come up and keep aiming into the ah spot in the front of the face.
Okay.
Pretty good. A little. You're gonna have to kind of play with where that E lives. For me, my E is really front. Like living in front of my arched tongue. But I think what's the most important thing to take away from this is that my tongue or your tongue or our tongues are articulating that E vowel so that the jaw can be uninvolved and be free to get out of the way, especially when we have to sing an E vowel on a high note, because we've got to open our mouth for those. Okay? Now, you've done the ah to E. Now just breathe in and sing C, and see if you can find that E tongue with the jaw in the opposition. Better. Does that feel a little bit looser?
A A little bit.
There's a little less horizontal pull on your lips
Good.
that time. So
Okay.
play with it. There'll be times when I'm going and I'm practicing opening and closing my mouth, and that independent tongue and jaw. You can do it with A, you can do it with because that the more independent the jaw and the tongue are from each other, the easier it is to articulate words, and especially if the words are fast, and also E, A, and F vowels. Okay. How are we doing on time? Are we? Do I have?
We have 4 minutes left.
Oh, I have 4 minutes. Oh, yay. Okay. I would like to hear you go from. Where did we leave off? I want to hear the last page of the music, because it starts to be there are faster words, and I want to hear that legato line go through those faster words. So we can pick up right where we left off. I know we were at the bottom. I think the bottom of that second. For me, it's the bottom of the second page, but it was where the. It's where Damillo e Piliatillo comes back. So it's Is that an okay
Do you want me
spot?
to? Yeah. Do you want me to play the recording where we left off, or do you want me to sing this a cappella?
What are you more comfortable with, hon?
Why don't we try with the recording? Because I think I'm pretty sure we stopped it right before
That's,
then.
I think, where we
So
stopped.
I'm hoping
Yeah, that's why I was
that, yeah, so I'm
suggesting
hoping
it.
it'll line up nicely.
Sure, let's
right,
give it a
let me
shot.
try.
So we're thinking about the legato.
Sorry, so we stuffed it like right on there. Let me.
Okay. So I want you to think about your legato with all the connective tissue, but I would like a little bit more brought out at your arrival points. So our brain's going to be a little bit thinking ahead, so you know where you're going. And then if you happen to have a long E vowel that you're singing, check in with your tongue. If it's a fast one, I know that that's probably going to be too much to think about. But if it's a long one, why not?
All right, thank you. Let me. Pilo, 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 nuvazo picciarello, nuvazo picciarello, come questa bucella che pare una rosella. Poco poco rilapa sugliatella. Sì, sì, tu tieni una bucella. Poco poco rilapa sugliatella.
1 minute. 1 minute.
That was lovely. Do one thing for me, just from that. I want you to sing from there a cappella, and I want you to make those little notes as clear as they just were, but go to quella again. So they're just as clear, but rather than being like this, they have a little bit more air moving through them.
Okay.
Okay. So here's C.
Thank you. Sì, tu tieni una bucella, nu poco poco rillo, a pasugliatella.
That was good, because there's a point that these faster notes, although they're connective tissue, it's winding down the song a little bit. So if we make them too short, then we lose that kind of natural fall or decline within the piece. So they're crisp, they're clear, but they are part of the bigger phrase. They're connecting you into the next little bit there. Okay? Any questions for me?
Do you know any good ways to keep going with that, with getting the clear E? Like, I know I really like your idea with the exercise and being able to feel the difference in my mouth with my tongue between going I. So I want to keep going with that. But do you know any more ways I can keep going with that? Make it further?
Yeah.
Is there a way like relaxing my jaw and getting that good eval?
So for me, that helps. So if you take the soft part of your hand here, not like this because we're not forcing the jaw down, but we're going to put that on our chin. So it looks like we're making the number 4. And then you're just going to open your mouth without pushing down your hand and open it to an ah. Okay? Now you're going to do something like and all the hand is doing is showing me if I do this. Because sometimes we're not aware that's happening. Can you try that for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we want E. E is a brighter vowel than ah. So I want you to put your tongue in the E position again, like that, and then click your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Can you let your E go into that spot?
Okay. Is that a little easier to get the tongue to move and the jaw to stay out of the way? So when the jaw tightens, the sound goes back. So then we're fighting this battle of how to create an eval, and the jaw's tightening and everything's working against you. So if you can get the jaw, and again, I can't reiterate this enough, I am not forcing my jaw open. It is purely so that I can feel, hey, my jaw's relaxed and out of the way. And then I'm articulating my E tongue, and I'm making sure I feel that E living in that part of my voice. It's kind of the ridge right behind those top front teeth. As you go higher, it'll be more in the dome. But you want to get the middle and the low tongue articulation working first before you try to then work the high range, so that we don't go you know. How's that? Okay,
Does that
great. Thank
work?
you.
No
Yeah.
problem. And
thank
this is
you.
the other one. So I'm trying to say ah-e while opening and closing my jaw.
Cool. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have
Yeah.
fun. It is a it's not an easy thing to fix, but it is very possible, and I myself have had to fix it. So keep it up. Good job. Thank you for performing today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and
Looking
thank
at
you
your
for your
picture
time
on the
today.
screen. I should be looking into the camera to talk to you. Sorry about that. Well done.
Thanks.
Okay. So let's see if I can do it. Gina.
Thank you, Dr. Radford. Wonderful demonstration. Sorry. Hello, my name is Gina Chambers. I will be singing 2 songs. They're quite short, from Banalité by Francis Poulenc, and they will be song 2 and song 4, Hôtel and Voyage à Paris. Oh, I forgot to share my sound. Oops, that's the first one. I want the first one. Ma chambre à la forme d'une cage, le soleil dans son sombre noir, la fenêtre, mais moi qui pour faire du mirage, la ne veut pas travailler. Veux fumer. La charmante chose qui était au pays morose, oh Paris, Paris joli, oh je lui crie l'amour, oh la charmante chose qui était au pays morose, oh Paris. Paris joli, charmante chose.
Wonderful, Gina. Really wonderful job. That's so fun. I love Poulenc. It's got so much character and you brought it all out. Well done. Give me 2 seconds because I don't have, I only have a hotel with me. Let me grab a device that has all of them so that I'm better equipped.
Okay.
Forgive me.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think it's great. Just give me 1 second.
Awkward pause.
I love you.
This is actually my fault. I only told Ms. Miller that you were singing Hotel. So
Didn't I say I was doing both?
I don't know, but I only.
It's fine. No, it's totally fine. And I have them in a Google Drive. I just had to get the device that had the Google Drive that I could pull up. Almost there. Forgive me.
Perfectly fine.
There it is. So, what I especially liked is the fact that you gave us a great contrast between the two pieces. I think it's really not an easy task to sing one thing and then immediately switch. And especially when we don't necessarily have the set sung from beginning to end. So really great job with those transitions. And I love that you made the characters your own. I got to get a little glimpse of who you are as a person in listening to you sing, and I really enjoyed that. So let me pin you so I can see you clearer. There we go. So what I would say is when you're doing Poulenc, it's all text driven, right? It's all very much like you're speaking the language. So when you're doing Hotel, and that is right here. There we go. When you're doing Hotel, I want to feel that it's less about the rhythms and more about the story that you're telling. What, the ma chambre a la forme d'une cage, le soleil, it's more these are the things I'm feeling and this is what I'm doing, and that the notes and the rhythm follow that even more. And I know that's hard to do when you don't have a live pianist with you, but
Yeah.
What I would say is you can be forgive me, you can be lazier with the rhythms in this particular one. Okay, just a little bit. I mean, still
Twist my
respect them,
arm.
please. Please respect them still. Still be your musical self. But this is more of a piece where you're responding to the music as opposed to creating it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I'd love to sing that again, and I'd love to feel that we're going directly to the vowels so that we're producing this lovely sound, but it's more, well, she doesn't want to work. She'd rather just go smoke in her hotel room. That's what she's doing, right?
Uh-huh.
So let it be one of those, like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, yes, I have nothing to do today. I don't have any homework. I don't have to work. I don't have to do anything. You know what I can do? I can read a book in bed, or I can get up and watch my favorite Netflix, whatever it is.
Those days give me anxiety.
Sorry?
Those days give me anxiety. I feel like I should be doing something.
Okay, well, embrace it.
Got it.
So if we can start from the beginning and try that again, that would be great.
Ma chambre la forma.
Again.
Okay.
So you get yum bum, and then you're gonna breathe here. Ma chambre, not ma chambre. It's already connecting into that phrase, okay? So, enjoy that full eighth note of breath that you can take right there.
Okay. Okay. Ma chambre la forma d'une cage, le soleil en s'ombrant, à la fenêtre, et moi qui veux filer pour faire des mirages, j'allume un jour ma cigarette. Je n'aime pas travailler. Je veux fumer.
Pretty good overall. My favorite moment was when you got to pour faire, let's see. Okay. Pour faire des mirages, j'allume au feu de jour. You finally kind of just settled into the music there. So that was my favorite moment. So if you can, when you go to start at the beginning, what are you doing during that introduction? What are you thinking other than counting and remembering where to come in? Are you breathing? Are you holding your breath? What is it that you're doing?
Well, I'm trying to get the tempo into my body because 50 is so languid and it's really almost unnatural for me.
Got it.
But trying to get the tempo into my body so I don't run off with this because I have a tendency to do that.
So what I would do is I would breathe. I would do, so if my rhythm is, I would do so I would feel the space of that almost two measures with, for me, because I'm trying to slow my body down, and you just said you're already trying to slow your body down, I do deep, languid, kind of relaxed breaths. And also, when you breathe like that, it takes your body out of the fight or flight and helps you disperse the adrenaline that might be pumping through your system because
Oh,
you're about to perform something. So those deep breaths help ground the body in addition to
Good.
setting us up for a tempo that is slightly slower in the body.
Okay.
And now I'm going to call you out as a fellow mezzo. When you sing that, the second to last entrance on Je ne veux pas travailler, when you sing that pas, that's not that high of a note.
No.
Don't panic about him. Sing your lower notes more.
Uh-huh.
That it's easier to float him.
Okay.
If you back away from your lower notes, no matter what you do, that top note's going to stick out. All right?
Okay.
So when you get to that moment and you're hearing, right before, I'm not a pianist, so don't judge me, but when you're hearing this, right before you come in, that's your chance to go, oh my goodness, here comes the high note, and then you breathe and you go, I don't care about the high note. All right? Because it's not a high note. Hun, there are going to be high C's in some of that music you sing. That's not a high note. Okay? But by getting that grounding earlier, or getting that kind of into the mentality of I'm going to sing and I'm going to trust, you're not going to be dealing with that as you're actually singing it. Okay. Alrighty. Can you just sing that Je ne veux pas, just even without accompaniment? Can you sing that for me? And I want you to feel the Je ne veux, all those lovely voiced consonants. And then the pa, you're going to almost think as a ba. Don't sing ba, but think of it as pa so that you don't send any extra air.
Okay. Je ne veux pas travailler.
Almost. Sing it for me once. Je ne veux pas with a B.
Okay. Je ne veux pas travailler.
Okay. So you're still stopping. You're still going. Je ne veux pas. And I want. Here's what we'll do. Go back to the pa, but we're going to displace it by an octave. And I want it legato smooth.
Got it. Je ne veux pas.
You hear how you're still stopping the sound?
Yeah.
Mushier consonant. Fast consonant, but less pressure on the air.
Je ne veux pas.
That's more alignment. Can you do the same thing and let your jaw drop for the high note to come in and hear it with your ear? Don't do anything extra in your throat.
Je ne veux pas travailler.
So that has more legato line to my ear. It's still a little bit louder than probably what you want, but what you're going to do then is practice coming in on that note without a P. Using your tummy muscles to start the sound so you can feel what the space feels like and how you don't have to punch it to get the space to open. And then you insert the space into the phrase. Want to try that? Just come in on ah on that E flat for me.
All right. Je ne veux pas travailler. I did
That
it
had
again.
less punch. Just come in on the ah by itself though. Can you make it a rounder ah? So it's not ah, but ah. Just a little rounder. Does that feel a little easier with a little extra height on it? Okay, now say travailler.
Travailler.
Good. Now put the je ne veux in front of it.
Je ne veux pas travailler.
That sounds less worried about the high note to my ear. And you can, when you get used to kind of that space or that release on the note, then it's a matter of how do I make it a slightly softer dynamic without losing the connection to the legato.
Yeah. Okay.
Questions about that?
My main focus right now in my lessons is making my top sound predominantly the same as my bottom, carrying the qualities of my bottom notes to my top notes without losing the color that is my mezzo range, because apparently I've been singing like a lyric soprano for most of my life, and that's not where I should live.
Got it.
So
this is a new transition then.
Yeah. The problem is finding less volume, but the right space and the right placement and the same air.
Right.
And,
when you sing something like this, and you do, or we'll just go with what the song is. When you sing that, je ne veux pas, what does that note feel like to you? Where does the resonance live?
it's got some kind of connection here, but some kind of connection here.
Right, so then when you flip it up into that high range, yeah, it's not going to have the same vibration here, but it still needs to feel like it's connected to the bottom. Je ne veux pas, je pas, je pas. So sing it where it's low one more time. And then when you add the top note in, we're not going to think of it as being a higher note. We're just going to think of it as a note that has more space on it.
Got it.
Okay?
Je ne veux pas.
Right. Here's another step. Je ne veux pas.
Je ne veux pas travailler. Oh,
that matched more. Do you feel how it had a little bit more grounding in it?
Yeah.
So, to me, when I also think of that E flat, and mezzo versus soprano, your breaks are now lower. Your passaggio's lower. So you get to have that height that you used to only get to really bring in at the F natural, F sharp. You can start bringing it in around C, C sharp above middle C.
Okay.
So if you think about that E flat as having that, however you want to describe it, cover, height, dome, it's on a shelf. Everyone describes the passaggio differently. So I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to give you, listen to your teacher. That's the person who knows your vocal journey the best. But for me as a mezzo, when I go into that E flat, I have to already plan to be here with my grounding at the base of my torso, as opposed to pa, pa, which is trying to keep it below that point, which is more what I would ask a soprano to do.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay. Do you want to try that one more time? Je ne veux pas. And all I'm doing is dropping my jaw.
Je ne veux pas travailler.
Good. Now I want you to slide slower. And feel how you don't have to ratchet it up to get to the high note.
Yeah. Je ne veux pas.
That has more color in it. Do you feel the difference? Okay, now. Je ne veux pas travailler.
Je ne veux pas travailler.
So darn close. Really, really close. So it's reprogramming in when you see that high note as it's not a high note, it has more space. Or it's just going to vibrate here instead of vibrating here. And connecting it in, sing the higher stuff down the octave, then maybe flip it up and sing it up a fifth, and then sing it back up the octave. So that you're not trying to place it in a certain spot, but instead it's connecting into what you've been doing all along.
Okay.
Does that answer a question? Does that help a little bit? Trust me, there was a time I was a soprano in my life too. So it's a process. Be gentle with yourself. Trust your teacher. They know what's best. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well done.
Okay, so our last is Kerrigan Juan.
Hi, my name is Kerrigan Juan, and I will be singing Una donna di 15 anni from the opera Così fan tutte from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. All right.
Nice job, Kerrigan. Well done. So, tell me a little bit about Despina. Who is Despina to you?
So Despina to me is someone who thinks she knows everything because she's experienced everything.
Okay.
I think Despina is a person who's older, who's been around the block more than like the younger girls. So she's like trying to convince the other girls, you know, if you flirt like this, if you talk like this, if you do things that I'm suggesting, then you're going to have a better life in the long run. rather than like being good girls.
Excellent. I love your interpretation, and I love the fact that you think she's more grounded in life, and like she knows what she wants, so to speak. So then when you come in and you sing this, I want you to have even more authority, because what's so fun about this character is she's the maid. And in Mozart's time, the maid telling the mistresses what they should be doing was like totally not cool. So when you come in with that, and you don't get much other than this in the beginning, oh Madonna, quindi, so you have like one beat to get into this, let me tell you something, kind of, authoritative, but yet not so authoritative that you lose your ability to still you don't want to get fired. So authoritative, but you still want some sort of little bit of chumminess with them, so that you don't come across as too high-handed, so to speak.
Okay, I'm gonna move this.
Okay.
Because I felt like I was looking down a lot, and I was like, not engaged.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. All right. I'll start from the beginning then.
I have a question for you, and I know it's going to make it harder to hear. Can you turn your, because your music's coming out of your computer, right? And that's also what's picking you up. Can you turn the music down just a little bit?
Yeah, I can actually. Sorry if it was too loud.
Oh, no, it's fine. I think it'll help the balance just a smidge.
Okay, thank you. Let me know if this is better.
Okay, I'll just give you a thumbs up. Very good. I got much more of the character from you. I felt your legato line. I felt like you were really in control of Despina. That was really, really nice. Well done.
Thank you.
Now, so this is in 6/8, but I think that if we're not careful, the 6/8 in this particular instance can run away from us. So we want to feel a little bit more of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when we get to those 16th notes, inventori toribel perché toribel. There's a sense of, this is my structure, because sometimes it's hard to get into those 16th note runs if we haven't been feeling some of the subdivisions prior to it. Also, I think because she's an authoritative character, the kind of a little bit of a nod towards the eighth notes throughout the piece can also give her a bit more of this kind of stately, grounded position. Okay? And it will also help with the entrances that are like de saperle maliziette. So that entrance that doesn't occur right on a beat but comes in after a beat, you can feel 4, 5, 6. So you're breathing on that 4th, 8th note and coming on 5, 6. So that'll help, I think, give your character even more strength. If you had told me that you were wanting her to be a little bit more sleazy, I don't know, a little bit more conniving, then
we can do that.
I mean, but then you might think more in terms of the 6/8. But because you want her to have a little bit more authority, I think the 6/8 will help rhythmically as well. Okay. Jumping ahead, I have 2 questions for you. I love that you added ornaments in at the 2 fermata spots. I think that's fantastic, and I think that
I've been working on those because like I feel like when I do them, I'm not always landing on time with the recording. So I've been like trying to like experiment with like different ways to do the ornamentations and to like be creative with it.
Right. And that's hard with the the pre-recorded accompaniment. I know landing is really difficult with it. What I would love to feel for you, though, is that there is a rhythmic pulse through the ornament.
Okay.
So that there's a point where you know, and it could be that there's one note in there that you know, hey, if I hold this note for longer, I can wait till I hear the resolution. But all the notes in front of it have the momentum that I want them to have. So would you mind doing the two sapere that occur? The one of them has the fermata. Like the 13th measure of the allegretto section. Could you start there for me without accompaniment? I just want to hear what you want to do when you don't have to worry about the accompaniment.
Okay. Senza nocire, sorbe mentire, sorbe mentire.
Oh, so we have T. Is it leaping? What are the notes? Sing it for me one more time.
Okay.
Just the ornament. Here's your G sharp.
All right.
Do it slowly for me one time because I'm not getting the notes. I'm sorry.
Okay. I could be doing it wrong, to be honest.
It's okay. So what I'm feeling is those first couple of notes don't have a rhythmic clarity in your brain.
Okay.
So then they kind of and it could just be because you've been used to trying to line it up with the recording, which is a task in and of itself. So when you're planning on the ornament, so say it's this, I don't know. I'm making it up. But do you see how there's a rhythmic structure to it? So I know where to start my moving notes.
Okay.
And you might be going, that's fine too. I'm not saying you need to change the ornament, but make sure there's a direction to it, because your conductor is going to have to follow you and know where you're going to land so he can place that orchestra with you. Okay.
That's really helpful, to be honest.
Trust me, you don't want the conductor to look at you and go, now what's your ornament? You're like, oh no.
It's like changing every time.
Yeah. So make sure it's as if I write my ornaments in and I write them as a rhythmic structure into my piece.
That is so smart. I didn't even think of that.
That's okay.
That is so smart. I'm going to do that.
And I know some people who will put a piece of staff paper in there and they'll cut it out and they'll kind of just tape it into their music and it has the ornament on it. So you can either try to scribble it into the little space that's there, or you can actually put a piece of staff paper there. But that way your brain is reminded when you're looking at the music that there's a rhythmic structure for it. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be, it can be a rhythmic structure that makes sense within your phrasing, because I know that you got to take the fermata out of context. So you're going to give yourself 3 beats for your ornamentation. Write it out as if it's 3 beats, and then resolve for the end. Okay.
Okay.
And then your other one, it's probably similar, right? Because
it's really similar.
I would do something that was a little bit more radical on that second one. Like maybe had some higher notes. You run it by your teacher, professor. I completely do not want to step on any feet, but she's a fun character. So if it makes sense, I don't know, you could do I don't know, just something
that's
kind of
exciting.
fun,
Okay.
a little bit more. And listen to some recordings. There are some fantastic singers out there that you can listen to. And you'll find some that don't do any ornamentation at all, and others that do some. I mean, so my young artist years were spent with Lyric Opera of Chicago with Sir Andrew Davis, and you so much as think about ornamenting anything in Mozart, he will like jump on you and say, no, you're not allowed to ornament, because he's very much a purist. And he says it with he's very polite, and he's very kind, and he says it with a laugh, but you don't want to cross it. So there'll be some conductors where they go, oh, I really don't want you to ornament that much. And then there'll be other ones who believe that you should ornament Mozart as much as you ornament Handel. So finding that balance point in your preparation and making the ornaments match your character is kind of your job in prepping a piece.
Okay.
When you do
3 minutes.
Okay. To me, the hardest part of this aria is that it gets so very virtuosic at the end. Finding the energy to maintain all the way through to that point, and then have more energy at the end is, I think, your battle to fight. So when you get to all these running notes, I'm looking at after that second fermata, heading into that section. 1, 2, 3, like 4 measures after that fermata, there start to be a lot more running notes in the orchestra, right?
Yeah.
You stay grounded in your support. You stay grounded in your connection to the text and connection to the rhythm. All right? Don't get pulled away. Don't get pulled away by all that that's happening in the orchestra. Stay where you are. I don't know if it's at all possible to start anywhere in the middle of the aria. I don't know if you have the spots marked in there.
You can just give me, I have my spots marked, so you can give me a measure number and I can start there.
Can we start right after that last fermata that we were just talking about?
Yeah, the col passevorio.
Yeah, no, the e qual regina dall'alto soglio col posse voglio farsi ubbidir.
Okay.
For me, it's like the top of the second to last page, but.
Okay. Oh, okay, I see. And the fermata's voglio, that one. The very last fermata.
We can start there. I was actually one fermata before that, but we can.
Oh, I can do that. Okay. 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 Did you want me to start the De un momento? Or right at the fermata?
Wherever's easiest. The De un momento is fine.
Okay.
But don't get pulled away by the moving 16th notes that are going to start occurring more and more frequently. Stay grounded with your rhythm and your clarity in the individual notes within the phrasing.
Okay. De un momento dare d'accento con le pupille col mille. Dorsiami ad tutti semberio prati. Oh wait, sorry, that was wrong. It's like hard to do without the accompaniment.
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay, no. All right. Dorsiami a tutti, sempre pronti, salve a nascondersi, senza confondersi, senza rossire, salve il mentire, salve il mentire. Il cuore fluirà dall'alto sole, o colpa sua voglio far subire. Il cuore fluirà colpa sua voglio far subire. E con legina d'aver passorio, o
there for a second. So I felt like your entrances were clearer in your body and clearer within the rhythmic structure that time through. The first time through, it felt a little bit like they caught you off guard, just slightly. And so now with it being a little bit more clear in its structure, your entrances were clear, your notes were better. I got more of the legato line out of it. So when you're working on a piece like this, what are the things that how do you approach it? For me, I separate out my text. I learn my text and I speak it as if I was speaking Italian and having a conversation, but I also speak it in the rhythm of the piece. And sometimes I'll even put on my recording of the accompaniment track, and I'll speak it with the accompaniment track, so that I'm practicing where my breaths are, how long I have to breathe, and what it feels like to hold that vowel for the length of the 16th note passage, for the length of things, so that I'm making sure that when I add my notes back in, nothing catches me off guard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really good advice. What I do, and I think I'm going to change this, is I do research and like this song, and like say for this one, when I first started this song, I did research on the whole opera. So that way I could know the character, like how she is throughout the whole play, you know? So I feel like I can get every aspect of her character, especially in this one part of the act.
Don't stop that. Keep doing that. That's fantastic.
Okay.
But I would say there are multiple levels of practice for a singer. So you have the character practice, where you're researching your character, you're understanding how she fits in the opera world, you're understanding how you can relate to her and kind of step into her shoes. Then there's the musician side of you, who's looking at the rhythms, who's looking at how the text fits with the rhythms, who's looking at, when I echo this, what instrument in the orchestra has just played it? Or what instrument's playing underneath me, and how does that color work? And then there's the singer part of you that's also looking at the technical aspect of things. Where does this sit in my voice? And how does this vowel work? And how does this breath work? And so when we're practicing, we can't sing for hours and hours a day, but we can find different types of practice throughout the day to then come together and create a performance that is super well rounded with rhythms, with our performance as a singer, and with our understanding as an actor as well. So it doesn't matter. Some people start with the acting side of things. Other people start with the rhythmic side of things. Other people start with the pure technique side. Whichever one of those things works best for you, do that. But make sure you get a little bit of each of that in there, so that when you stand up, and when you actually have live pianists, this is easier. I realize this, but when you get that chance to stand up, there's never a question in your brain about feeling confident to come in. Not saying you had that, but I myself have known that discomfort, and practicing with the rhythms of the text has helped me a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, lovely voice, easy high range. Your Italian is actually quite good. I was getting all the words. I love that your personality is coming through, and when you told me about Despina and then you got that rhythmic a little bit more there, I got even more of all that character study you've been doing. So that was fantastic as well. Just watch those entrances that you know exactly where you want them to be.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for me, Kerrigan?
Yeah, I do have a question. When I felt like we were practicing without the accompaniment, I felt like I was going at a slightly slower tempo, and that allowed me to construct more of the phrases and feel that dancing feel like we were talking about. Would you recommend that I try to experiment with this little slower tempo, slightly, or did you like the tempo?
So I think that what you're going to have to use to judge yourself of how fast or slow to go is going to be the 16th note passages.
Okay.
So sing those 16th note passages, feel where they kind of lie in a comfortable tempo, and then put the rest of your tempo in that speed. So if it feels like the 16th notes are rushing and like you can't control them, and you're already thinking of groups of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to try to help with articulation, then maybe click it down 2 notches.
Okay.
Okay. Clicking it down, the metronome marking down 2 notches or up 2 notches is not going to change the character of the piece, but it will change how your voice responds to it. So you're correct in feeling that difference.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. No problem. Thank you very much for singing for me today. I really appreciate it. Well done.
Thank you.
So we're at the end of class. Can we give Mr. a great big virtual round of applause and a thank you for working with us today?
Thank you all for singing, and thank you for having me. It's truly been a treat. You all are fantastic, and I applaud. Are they all your students, Dr. Radford?
No, it's a village. It's a village.
Well, I applaud all of your professors, and I applaud you for staying motivated. You as a student staying motivated during this time. I know it's not easy, but if you guys can make it through this, you can make it through anything.
Thank you. And so this is the end of class. We're going to take some questions. If you have a class at 4 or whatever, you may go, but we're going to stay on for a little bit if Ms. Miller can. If you have any questions, just speak up. There's nothing in the chat right now, but if you have a question, just speak up and away you go. Anybody? Kerrigan.
Hi, I had a question. So when you were studying for your degrees, did you, in your progression of like your voice style and discovering like what your voice was with your studio teacher, did you ever feel the growth that you were having over time, or did you subconsciously start growing? You know what I mean? I don't know how to phrase that question. Like, could you feel yourself growing over time towards where you are now?
Yeah, so when you're in the middle of learning and you're having your consistent lessons and you're coaching and you're in the middle of school and you have everything going on, it's sometimes hard to see the day-to-day progress. And so when you're approaching your practice, the more specific you can be with what you want to achieve with that practice session, the more progress you'll make, so to speak, more visible progress to yourself that you'll make throughout your time. If you kind of just approach a practice session with, oh, I just need to practice, I just need to get my time in, you're not going to have the same focused energy during that time, and therefore aren't going to make as much visible practice to yourself. But you also find that when summers come, if you keep practicing, that's when you're going to go, oh, I get it now, because you'll have a lot less things to worry about on your plate, and you'll be able to start kind of processing and internalizing the things your professor talked about. So, there's times of great growth and there's times of not as much growth, but it's your time in school and your time in learning is really what you make of it. So the more specific you are, the more success you're going to have. Kind of answer the question a little bit?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Christopher.
Hello, wonderful masterclass. I really, really enjoyed listening to you today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Christopher.
Thank you. I have a question. When you were working with Gina, you mentioned cover or height. Can you explain what because I'm a baritone, so I don't really need to know in my head, but within the ideas of like a mezzo, what is the idea or the sensation that you feel when you have this height or cover, some call it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So for me, I think of my passaggio as having more height, and that's simply because when I go through my passaggio, I feel the resonance shift from being mainly here to all of a sudden being between my eyebrows and then above into my forehead. That's how I feel it. I track resonance through lip trills, through humming, through sometimes a lip buzz, and it allows me to kind of feel where things live. If I ever feel cover, it's purely that my vowels are not wide. They have more height to them. So rather than ah on this note, ah, that's not a pretty note. Ah, that giving that extra height puts me into this area of resonance for myself. So, and you got to be careful. Please don't just take this information and run away with it. See, if you need some translation, go to your professor, say, can you help put into the words that we've been using what Julie was what Miss Miller was talking about. But for me, I feel, and I share with the people that study with me, that we're following our resonance from that's an A up to an E for me, as opposed to which a lot of people think is cover, and that's not what I mean by cover. I just mean it's coming into a forward, taller position, and there might be more roundness to your vowel.
Gorgeous, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We have time for one more question, and I see Party's hand.
Hi.
Hi.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Everything
too.
that you had to say was super helpful, and I'm going to apply it in my own practice. I had one question about the I can't even do it properly, but the technique that you were talking to Miranda about. Two things. The first question